Good morning again, Saturday morning from Brussels. Well, not from Brussels, I'm from Bonheiden. Bonheiden is a very nice place. So let me see what I want to share today. You saw the first slide is about communication. If you followed the previous sessions, good morning, Mirna. Giovanni, if you don't mind, I'm just going to mute you. It's no problem. We're going to have a question and answers at the end of this call that we're going to be able to address points and maybe have a debate, who knows, about communication and things presented here, maybe things from previous sessions. And let's start. I'll share the screen again. That's a better way. So that's okay. Communication, of course, extremely important. Doesn't business or anywhere, you need communication. We are connected, and if we cannot exchange properly and dialogue in the right way, then something is going wrong. So let's have a look at what we're going to be talking today. Before I start really with that, of course, if you're new to this group and you haven't yet configured or set up your notifications for this group, you find on the main page the three little dots under the cover page that you can choose to have more notifications. At least it's once a week, but at least it means you're not going to miss it. And that's it. All right. What else did I want to say? I'm following some programs. Yeah, you're gonna understand in the presentation. I'm following right now a pipeline, so we're in a cycle of going through a pipeline of how to bring a person from a lead to a customer. And then we're going to go to a different mindset as well, a mindset cycle, and then probably come back to this afterwards. And every time I'm just showing little pieces of the whole puzzle. And finally, I hope I can address all the topics that you like to have addressed. And finally, it should be good. Let me see if I see there is two. Good morning, good morning. So fantastic. Thanks very much for you attending the live today. I'm very glad to have you here, and let's get going. Communication. So the pipeline, I like to put it back in the framework of the pipeline. And then we're going to address, of course, a very basic communication schematic, but actually it's, from this you can really derive so many topics and so many things to work on. The 10 communication tips, if you looked at the post that I have posted this week, this is just based on that. And the power of listening, which is another post I made this week with a funny gif of listen. Very powerful as well. And let's go in this topic. We have this 30 minutes. If you also are new to this, it's 30-minute session. So I'm not going to take the whole morning. If you're in Europe as me, then there is a whole weekend to enjoy. It's sunny outside. Kids are waiting. So let's get going. Leads is from last week, actually. I discussed the pipeline 2 weeks ago. So you see, I'm just moving with this pipeline. Today we're talking about actually contact and appointment is going to be kind of the topic of today. I don't think I'm going to have a special session for appointment alone. Maybe I have to think about it. Maybe I should have a specific session, but it's part of communication really. So last week leads, this week communication that would actually gather both topic of contact and appointment. And then we're going to move next week in presentation. That should be quite important as well. And follow up in customers, which will be topics for the following sessions. So get moving. Should I go back to this? No, I mean, I think this is quite what we say, the slide should speak for itself. You get somebody, we talked about where to find leads, and actually so many places really, but then you talk to them in a nice way. You're a very kind person, so you talk in a nice way, and you make an appointment with them finally to listen to a presentation. It can be you, it can be a person you work with, and share with them the information that's relevant to them. We're going to come to that, and if you don't know yet, you can wait for next week, and then we're going to talk about this topic as well. and you follow up on them because they saw the presentation. They might still have questions, so you just talk to them. And finally, if they are very happy and you have a good relationship going, these people will like you and become customers, actually teammates. If I think teammates should be a better word. Maybe I should change the slide really. That is that. So super easy. Everybody is super familiar with such schematic diagram. So a communication diagram here. You have a person that sends a message. Well, it's here is written as encoding, decoding. So you send a message. The little white arrow in the middle is obviously the message. And you get distortion around in the environment, and you get distortion in everybody's heads. My goodness, nowadays we're just attacked with so much information yourself. We're talking here, if you think communication, maybe you're thinking, how am I gonna put the words in the right way that the other person understands it? But there is so many variables that this diagram is just so simple, but at the same time, if I make it more complicated, it will be confusing. But really, look, in your head, I mean, I don't know, my head is not always optimal, right? So sometimes you have good days, you have bad days. Your communication will depend on that. So I mean, as well, about the level of knowledge you have, about how you structure your information. All these things are extremely important, as just talking about the encoding part. So this the little man on the left right now. I should have changed colors, for example. That would have been nice. And on the little man on the right side, so first he has to receive the information. So how you gonna give the message is very important as well. So there is noise. So normally we can think about noise is, noise is noise. So if you're in a noisy environment, that doesn't help. But nowadays we're also a lot online. So what happens as noise? Distractions. What can be distractions? So you can talk to the person and realize this person is not in the best environment to listen to you. So you might have the best message, the best structure, but if the person isn't in the right environment to listen to you, you're wasting some time, some energy to talk to a person that might not be in the best in the best circumstances to be listening to you. So one of the things that I like to practice more and more is shortening the time that I spend on Messenger. I'm a big user of Facebook, and if you're in here right now, you'll probably realize that as well. And but on Messenger, what happens really? You talk to a person, you send a message, hello, how are you? I mean, basic message. It can be any other message, by the way. And but you never know how much time this person is going to take before they answer, right? Is it 5 minutes, half a day, 2 days? Can be that bad. And so you never have any control on the environment of that person. So what I like to do nowadays, it's a very precious tip for anybody listening on the live or on the replay. So this will be recorded and put on the Facebook group, by the way. I like to practice more and more to talk with a person, like really just plan for a call. So there will be some exchange on Messenger. There will be some back and forth. I think that's needed for a person to get used to you. Because if you're tapping into cold market, these persons might not know you. Even if it's warm market, by the way, it's better for everybody just to I believe somebody can have different opinion, to go as fast as possible into a call. Why? Because if there is noise, you can correct or you can adapt as fast as possible. If you're sending messages, you will have no clue of what's happening, right? So if there is noise, the other person is not going to tell you. The other person is just going to be distracted. And if this is, I have noise many times around me. Many times it's kids. This is my responsibility. But if I'm messaging somebody and my kids come around, I'm not going to say, well, if you're depend the relationship I'm having with a person, but normally I'm not going to say, my kids are asking me this and that. I'm just actually going to attend my kids and come back to the conversation later. So what happens to the conversation if it was in a very nice, if we're exchanging something in a good way, and the conversation is going well, the flow is being cut the flow is cut. But you have the person that's trying to communicate the message doesn't know what's happening. So that's quite unfortunate that when you're sending messages, you just don't have a clue of what's happening on the other side. What's the noise? What's the mental state? When you're having a voice conversation, it doesn't have to be video, by the way. You can use video. This is also an additional tool to realize the state of mind of the other person. So you can control something more. In voice or message, you have non-verbal expression that says so much, right? Well, in studies, they talk like 90% of the message is like non-verbal and 10% is verbal communication. So if you only focus on the verbal and the messages, is not even verbal, by the way. So you just lose so much information. This is not funny. And yes, so I think from this diagram, this says a lot. This I mentioned about noise, distractions, but as well now we mentioned about what's happening in the head of the person sending the message, whether the right knowledge or whether the right structure of bringing the message. But now, what is the state of mind of the other person, and what's going on in their head? What is their experience level? What is the way that they like to communicate? What questions do they have? So are they going to be really open to share all that via messages? Are you going to be able to get all this information? Is it going to be lost in between the lines, and the person assumes that you understand and you don't, and vice versa? That you just lose so much control. I believe this is and the more I talk about it, the more I really I'm very sure of voice and video messaging should be the really only way to do it. And how many people are advising so much about offline connections, because we're getting rid of all these social media environment and messaging environment, because offline is that powerful that you just show yourself, you're yourself all the time. And if you talk to somebody, there is no obstacle. This is you're just so online environment, be careful, and be mindful of what I just said, because this is going to have a big impact on your results. Let's have a look of whether there is more. When you're the person talking. So here, these are tips about was you're talking, and what do you have to pay attention to. Obviously, we're still talking in the marketing perspective, so communication tips, some of them will apply to everything. Some of them will apply to the first one is worded as you're talking to a prospect, so be interested in the prospect. Communication is not about you. You have something that you want to say, but you have to be careful you're saying it to somebody who wants to listen. And if the person doesn't want to listen, the person is not going to be interested. And if you're not interested of their interest, then it goes all wrong again. So be interested in the prospect. Don't be distracted by anything in the environment that we touched upon. So I think this is clear. No, you're not being distracted, and in the best situation, the other person should not be distracted. So this one works in both ways. Have a sincere, friendly facial expression. Yeah, sure. If you're interested in the prospect, if you want good for the other person, big chances are you're expected to have a friendly face. If you're not having a friendly face and you're frowning all the time, something is going on, or you're distracted, or you don't have, I don't know, something is distracting, right? So this one should be, let's say, obvious. When everything is right, you have no distraction, you have the right knowledge, there is nothing to frown upon. Use correct amount of assertiveness. So of course, when you're communicating and sharing value to a person, you should be confident of what you're bringing to the table and is of value, and that you know your stuff. That's it. No more, no less. Communicate easily, no tension, no strain, fakeness, sound rehearsed. Well, just have a conversation. This is the easiest way. So fakeness is, of course, if you're repeating, rehearsing, sounding rehearsed. Obviously, if you're picking up some text, and always talk without anything. 5 minutes ago with my kids, finished the shower, and so no rehearse. I'm just here, open to you guys, and having a normal conversation. I'd love to. After that, we're gonna have back and forth probably as well with questions and questions and answers, and that's it. So just have a conversation, communicate easily, and that should be good. Make sure your body doesn't distract the prospect. I hope my hair is okay. It doesn't distract you, or anything else. So maybe something distracting around me. Hope not. So that's what it's meant here. So anything around that's distracting. If my kids were jumping in the background, that would be kind of a good distraction. Always tell the truth. Obviously, know what you're talking about. That's connected to many things we said before. Communicate at the prospects level. It becomes quite interesting as well. Now you have to get understanding of what the other person is expecting, the interest. There is already a part here of the communication that this is not you starting to communicate straight away. It's just understand what the other person is about. Okay, next slide is going to say much more about that. And I have the intention of making the person's life better. So we're talking here in a marketing environment, obviously, but if you apply this to everything and everywhere, maybe you're just going to make everybody's life much better. So I think this is clear. We're gonna, if you have any question, write it down and then we'll pick it up at the Q&A. We still have, we're gonna have to speed up a little bit, but that's gonna be okay. Power of listening. My goodness, so powerful. Because the communication, the slide from before has no sense if you're not listening. No sense at all. So benefits of listening. The list is short, right? But actually there is so much more in there. But let me see. Prospects will tell you what they need. This is that simple. If you're talking to the right people, they will just tell you what they're experiencing. If you're really building the relationships, and that's actually the second point, build trust in relationship. So things, they go hand in hand, right? But people will open to you when you have a relationship, when they trust you. And you don't have to be selling like crazy. That's how many times I just received on Messenger. Unfortunately, people just starting the conversation, just shoot this marketing selling points on this message. And it's just like, what do you want me to do with it? Really? Just get lost. Increase the chance to be listened to. Obviously, if you're listening, the other person is gonna be open or opener, if that's more open, to listen to you as well. So recommendations here: apply active listening, which is really when you're in a conversation, just change your mindset of I want to say something to what do I need to say for that person, and what is the other person actually telling at this moment. And the active listening is further than the message. So you're again talking about the best communication if you can have a video call and really read the non-verbal communication of the other person. What's this person, is this person doubting, having any concern? And you can see this, if I'm talking and then the other person is like not very focused and is like digging information in their head. And so you can read this on the video call or face-to-face conversation. You cannot see this. You miss all this kind of information when you're just sticking to Messenger. Listen to what is not said. Actually, this was connected to the previous one because it's part of active listening. So you can read so much more on a person's face. Absolutely. So if you're communication, I think 90% should be listening, 10% should be talking. That's it. That's other person saying, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And this is also very true. And what else? So I think this should be quite clear here. Yes, are you listening? This is the only thing I had to say here. Thank you I'm going to stop the recording. Did I do the recording, by the way? I hope I did. Did I? Was it recording? I hope I did. pause recording? Yes, I recorded. I doubted myself. I'm funny. So a little bit of a pressure. Did I turn red? You cut this, right? So this was non-verbal. And
I got that.
so are you listening? Good. So if now you see this presentation and you have a doubt or any question, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna stop the recording now. I'm gonna go to the Q&A with the people on live. And if you need any more information, reach out to me. I will also offer some coaching, one-on-one coaching. And right here, I just make sure that this information is as general as possible for everybody to have value from, whether you're doing network marketing, affiliate marketing, e-commerce, whatever, this applies to just everybody. So more or less, obviously, but if you're interested in personal development and communicating properly, and yeah, so there is for everybody something to take. I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you next week, Saturday, 11 o'clock, Brussels time. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.